Today, I'm talking about a new concept called the Great Bisexual Regret. In simple terms, this is referring to people that are coming out as bisexual later on in life and sort of regretting that they kept this secret for all these years and let it dominate their life and they didn't act on it when they were a little bit younger. This comes from many people that reach out to my advice column. It's usually older people that feel that the boat has really sailed. Maybe they're married now, they're in a couple, they're committed, it's monogamous, so there's not really much scope to go and try other things. And they realize that actually they were so focused on hiding this and getting to this place of, well, I'm in a relationship now and that's all sorted, that actually it's the only time they can sort of breathe a sigh of relief and think, oh, actually though, why didn't I explore that when I had the chance? A lot of the men in particular that reach out to me say that they hid their bisexuality for years. And the sad thing is, sometimes they've even hidden it from themselves. Even if they have had a little experience or they had a feeling that they may have some same-sex attraction, they've sort of hidden it from themselves by maybe making out that they were drunk at the time or it didn't really mean anything, or, well, all straight people feel that, but it's not something to act upon. So sometimes the lying to yourself can be a factor in this. And I think one big factor that's driving this is that in some ways the world has changed. So especially for people that grew up in a world where there was a lot more homophobia, there was a lot more of bisexual being a stain on your masculinity. You absolutely must be gay. There's absolutely no wiggle room for being bisexual, or the way that bisexual women were treated. But actually, at least maybe in the media, the world feels more open, that actually you could be something other than straight. And even with attitudes towards gender changing and people questioning themselves there, I think a lot of bisexuals that are a bit older that hid this are thinking, well, hold on. If, we can accept changes like this, and if the world really is sort of ready to have these conversations, then maybe I could be accepted. And it's not just the outside world. I think people's personal perceptions of themselves change over time. So this big, deep, dark secret that they had actually maybe doesn't feel like that big of a deal anymore. So for many of them, maybe they actually do accept themselves now. Maybe they're even out. Maybe they've actually come out of the closet, but they still have this feeling that they've left it too late, that actually, they would have had more fun and they would have had a happier life if they had explored this when they were younger, in their early 20s, maybe. I hear from a lot of men that will say, when I was younger, I had the chance to have sex with a guy and I turned it down because I was so convinced, no, I have to be straight. And now, I have only ever had sex with women, and now I'm married and I've got kids, and now I'll actually never know what it was like to have had sex with a guy. Why did I have that as such a concept in my head? Because it's something that clearly feels natural to me, and now I'm never going to experience it. Bisexual regret, as I say. And I know some people might say, well, he's not dead yet, you could still experience it, but many bi men are in committed, monogamous marriages, and that is okay. And a wife may accept that her husband's bisexual, but she may not necessarily accept that he wants to explore, and there shouldn't be that pressure on her to have to feel that way about it. What would be the difference between a guy saying, you know what, you're the woman I lost my virginity to, I want to know what sex with other women is like, is that okay? And her saying no. So you kind of got to be fair to people, especially when people got into a marriage and they thought their partner was straight and was happy to be with just them, and is now finding out, oh, actually he's bisexual, but there's a line. So whilst people aren't dead and technically could act on it, a lot of them are not going to. So it's just about that bisexual regret of those younger years when you had those chances to actually explore and just see what you like, see what you didn't like, have those kind of experiences that's sort of gone. And, yes, technically you could have them, but realistically you're not going to, because you love your wife more than some random encounter with a stranger. And that's why I think that this topic is so important to talk about and to get people sharing their experiences of, because it's realistically the only way that we can stop history repeating itself. We know that statistically, bisexual people are still, in 2026, the least likely of the LGBT to be out of the closet, and that speaks for itself. When you're young and you have that narrative of your sexuality is bad, the worry and fear that you're going to be mocked for your sexuality, it has an impact. And let's face it, the statistics also show the majority of women, straight women, would not want to date a bisexual man or even a man that has had same-sex encounters. So this still goes on today. It's not that the world has completely changed. So we do still have young men and young women hiding their bisexuality for fear of judgment, for fear that it would impact their dating prospects. And I think bisexual regret is a bit of a counter narrative to that, of saying, look, I know that you think you know what you're doing with keeping up this facade, staying in the closet, not being too open about this. And, you know, it's totally up to you what you want to do. But heed my warning, or heed the warnings from the other older bisexuals, that there may be a day that you will look back and think, my God, I was young, bisexual, single, and I spent all that time worrying. I spent all that time not exploring and just trying to act straight or gay. There's a lot of bisexual people that, you know, are in the closet, but as a gay person, they don't feel comfortable to come out as bisexual because they think the world won't take them seriously. But whatever it is, if you are not able to fully come out as bi, and this isn't just about coming out, this is really more about exploring, about having those experiences, about having that little cheeky kiss on the dance floor or whatever it is. And so that's why I think it is important that us older bisexuals talk about bisexual regret, because it might just help those younger struggling bisexuals have the courage of their convictions to explore their sexuality, to embrace the path that they're on, to be a little bit more unashamed of who they are, if that's something that they've been dealing with. So let me know in the comments, have you ever felt too scared of your bisexuality? Do you think that you maybe have experienced bisexual regret, that you were so worried about appearing straight that you missed out on an opportunity, a kiss with a handsome stranger, or whatever it is? Put them in the comments, because I do think the more voices we add to this and talk about bisexual regret, the greater the chance that we'll be able to help other people avoid it.